of silence to remember our troops abroad and their families here at home, and also for the passing of Pastor Arthur Goddard, who was the pastor at the Baptist Church in Belmar on 9th Avenue. Thank you. The council would like to join me on the dais for a special presentation. So we have a very special presentation tonight for an outstanding woman in our community, and I'd like you to bring her up, and I'd like to read it. So, Carol, you were telling me, you'd like to come up front? Everyone clap now, come on. All right. I haven't seen you since, because we know, Maz's clothes. I don't see you.
I know.
So this is honoring Carol DiBartolo. Whereas Carol DiBartolo is dedicated to serving her community and focused on bettering the lives and well-being of Belmar's residents and the community at large. And whereas Carol DiBartolo has worked at St. Rose of Belmar for over 18 years, through 5 pastors, and serving as a CCD teacher over many years. And whereas Carol DiBartolo worked passionately to serve her community, working with the St. Vincent de Paul Society at St. Rose in Belmar since the society's founding. And whereas Carol DiBartolo has served as president of the St. Vincent de Paul Society at St. Rose in Belmar for over 6 years. And whereas Carol DiBartolo, particularly in the wake of Hurricane Sandy, the largest natural disaster to befall Belmar, worked tirelessly to ensure the care and safety of our community's most vulnerable. And whereas Carol DiBartolo, with her vast experience, knowledge, and compassion, has been a trusted advisor to Belmar Mayor, Council, and Administration. And whereas Carol, loving wife of John DiBartolo, with whom they've raised their daughter Elena, who is now the proud grandmother of her beloved grandson Luca, and now therefore be resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar congratulate Carol DiBartolo on her years of service to our community. Be it further resolved that the Borough of Belmar hereby recognizes Carol DiBartolo for her exemplary and honorable service to the Borough of Belmar and our residents, for whom she has been a tireless advocate. Belmar is a better town to live in because of her and her service. Arblay, want to say a few words?
I appreciate this. I'm a little bit overwhelmed because it really took all of us to do this. It certainly wasn't just me, but thank you for the recognition, and I truly appreciate that. Actually, we should thank your daughter Hannah, because it was her inspiration to do Home by Summers.
That's true. Without you, it never would have happened.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Next item on our agenda is our recycling flyer. This is an outgrowth of our last meeting when many of the members of the council, including myself, not fully aware of all the recycling facts and useful information. I don't know if people are just seeing this for the first time, but this is something we'd like to get out to the residents. If anyone has any changes to it, please advise Colleen in April. But when do we think we could send something like this out?
As soon as we get the okay.
Okay, all right. So, again, take it home, take a look at it. It talks about a lot of what we discussed at our last council meeting, plus some additional items, particularly with the input of our DPW Superintendent Campbell.
The one side we did recycling, and then the other side is all the ways for people to get information from the town and how to subscribe.
As the reported.
All right, any questions now, members of council?
No, this is outstanding.
I mean, on this or anything else? I'm good.
All right, so we'll give it a week. If anyone has, take take a look, see if there's anything you wanted to
Great.
add, subtract, edit, but to me, it looks like it's pretty good. Any other workshop discussions? If not, that's the only one we have.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up in my report, but I heard a couple of us discussing it. I've been noticing more properties in town putting down artificial turf for their lawn. And I don't know if that is a violation of our ordinance as far as permeability on your front lawn, because it may cause water to run off onto their neighbors. Plus, a couple of them have put this artificial turf on the easement between the sidewalk and the curb, which is our property. And I don't know if they ever came and asked us for permission, or if they went to the code people and got a permit. But I don't, if it's just starting, I don't like the idea of artificial turf, so the person doesn't have to cut their lawn. I just can't see the advantages to the environment for them. So I don't know if we have it in our ordinance where we can restrict it. If we want to restrict it, I think it's a good thing to discuss them.
We should check our ordinances. I don't know off the top of my head, but I do know that we have impervious lot coverage. And unless someone can come up with turf that's pervious, my guess is it would be impervious. And I know we made adjustments when we did pavers.
Right.
And pools and rocks, but I could be wrong. I don't believe it's a permitted use.
You know what, it's not that it's a permitted use. I don't think it's ever been a use that was ever considered to put into an ordinance that you couldn't do it. So in other words, I think it's just something that's come around recently that people are going for, so that their lawn is green all year long and that they don't have to cut it.
Water it.
We should, you don't have to water it. And those people that have already put it down, I don't know how we checked for the permeability of it.
Well, when this Councilman McGovern asked me, and as soon as we discussed it, I mean, there's a ton of information online. I found, in 15 minutes, I found quite a bit of information. There's some disagreement about what's permeable and what's not as far as artificial turf, but the consent, in general, I found more things saying that it's not permeable. And I also, I'm just looking right now at several of the other things that are wrong with artificial turf. Number one, you might not have to water it, but you do have to clean it. Because, I mean, if you have any animal waste or any kind of anything else, you have to clean that off. So you're basically watering your artificial turf to clean it off, and that stuff's gonna run right into the street. There's problems with it overheating in the sun and shifting. There's a long list, I'm looking at right now, a long list of municipalities in California that won't, I mean, this looks like a website right from California, that won't permit it to be used at all. As far as we have a turf replacement rebate program, you know, obviously we need to redo your lawn, you can apply for it, but you can't do it if you got artificial turf. So, you know, I mean, I like to tend to err on the side of, well, it's somebody's property, it's their property, they want to do it, I don't have to like it, it's their property, as long as it isn't terrible. But again, I think you've hit the nail on the head as far as the big issue would be permeability and how does stormwater, how is it affected by the presence of artificial turf. And I would say if somebody doesn't want to use it, they're going to have to prove that it's not going to be a problem. And I think the onus would have to be on them to prove that it wouldn't cause a problem for the neighbors or the town as far as excess runoff into our system.
And by the way, I think the turf, when we say turf, right, we're not talking about what the Super Bowl's played on. It looks like it looks like it's an outdoor green carpet.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah,
That's
right.
like, so this isn't,
Miniature golf,
yeah, like,
plastic green.
if that. So how about this? How about we have, we'll have our attorney look at the ordinances, and Colin will speak with the code officials and zoning official, Ted Bianchi, and come back at our next council meeting, report back whether or not it is permitted use. If it's not, what do you do to move it out? And if it is, is what we could do to restrict it going forward.
Okay, April, you were gonna say?
I was gonna say, anytime we've had anyone ask to put it in their front yard, they've been told it's not addressed in the ordinance, but it would be an impervious surface. But as far as the area between the sidewalk and the curb, that is addressed in the ordinance, and there are specific guidelines as to what can be there, and it basically says just grass. Like, there's people that have pavers and concrete in that strip, and that's not in line with the ordinance either.
Or
Yeah.
stones.
There are stones. Stones actually aren't permitted in the front yard.
Because they are pervious.
Right.
Well, it depends how they're built. If you put the lining underneath it, then the water's not getting
Right,
through that,
depends on
and
the
then
kind
it's
of liners and
impervious.
uses.
But we actually have an ordinance that says that stones
Right.
are not allowed in the front yard.
If you don't put the lining, then you're weeding your stones.
Right.
Nobody wants to do that.
All right, thank you.
Can we have Bob Hoff or someone go around and find out how many properties there are? I know there's a couple down on Ocean Avenue.
I think I mean, I know where a couple are, so I think, we can definitely do that, but if we happen to know where it is, might as well look it down.
Okay.
There's like a 13th and
13th Ocean.
Ocean.
There's one at
Right.
1100 block,
Yeah, discuss it.
and there's one on 8th Avenue.
The law firm near the Shlaley's.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, you're right. The commercial may be different when it comes to impervious.
Commercial property?
Yeah, it's commercial property, so it may have a different impervious lot coverage.
Well, they have it between the sidewalk and the street also,
Then-
so.
Yeah, then they can't do it.
So,
All right, thank you. Anything else for a workshop discussion?
Would you like me to tell you what I found out about plastic bags?
yes,
Okay?
Yes.
I left here after the last meeting with some homework that I had to do regarding an ordinance I'd like to see happen about restricting the use of plastic bags. One of the first things I found out by doing research is that there are two main kinds of ordinances affecting the use of plastic bags. There's ordinances like the one I'm proposing, which allows a merchant to charge a fee for the use of a plastic bag. And then there are other ordinances that just ban the bags. And by far, the most common one is an outright ban. I mean, in the state of California alone, there's over 300 municipalities that have banned plastic bags. The state of Arizona is considering now. The state of New York just passed one, the state assembly just passed one, and the country of India just banned the use of plastic bags for the entire country.
The whole country?
Yes, indeed, because absolutely, plastic bags are a major issue, especially if they get into water, bodies of water. While I was looking, one of the stories I found was they had a body of a whale wash up in New England. I want to say it was on the coast of Maine, and when they did the autopsy on the whale, they found the reason the whale died was because its stomach was full of plastic bags and it couldn't get any food, couldn't get any nutrition because it had been eating plastic bags instead of what it's supposed to eat. I did speak to the mayor of Longport. I called Mayor Russo, lovely gentleman, very helpful. The two main questions I left with last time were how do they enforce it, and does it really make a difference anyway? And to the second question, he said it definitely makes a difference. They do twice a year inspections. Somebody from the DPW goes, inspects their storm drain system, and I wish I could remember, they inspect another place where they can tell where the bags are going to be, and they've noticed a distinct drop in the number of bags that they find in the system. As far as enforcement, he said the main thing that they're really not afraid of, basically, is it's more for education and enlightenment, is what he said, and awareness. The merchants are allowed to put out a jar. They put out the jar if they want, and when somebody comes and gets a plastic bag, they're allowed to say, well, if you want a bag, you have to put a dime in the jar. And that's all they do. And they keep the jar if they want. And nobody checks, nobody collects, nobody does anything. And that's basically it. One thing that really did catch my attention was he mentioned they have a farmer's market. They have a farmer's market in the summer, just like what we have. And he said that made a big difference to those vendors in the farmer's market, and I can imagine it would, because to them, a dime for a bag is a big deal. That would really help them. And he said that cut down a lot. The municipality actually gave away some bags. He said, I asked him, are any merchants selling bags around? Actually around, not in their town, but stores that are close to their town have stopped offering plastic bags. They've stopped automatically putting merchandise in the bags and, asking, do you want a bag or not? And I asked them, is anyone selling bags? And they said that the municipality gave them away last summer at the farmer's market. Very inexpensive bags. This year, and they were marked with the logo, with the municipal logo, and some other things. He said this year they ordered nicer bags. They're selling for $3 a pop. Again, basically walking advertisement for the merchants and the town. He was very, very happy. He said everybody down there is very happy with the ordinance. He said it's not really bothering anybody. And I was very encouraged by that. So I would really think that I think we ought to look into, I'd like to see us put together some kind of ordinance that would allow us to do that. We're not looking to force any merchants to do something they don't want to do. We're really trying to raise awareness of the problem and what to do about it. And the vast majority of plastic bag ordinances are prohibitions, and I don't really want to do that. I think people should be able to make the choice, and hopefully we educate them so they make a choice that's going to take care of our water and, reduce the amount of litter that we have to take care of.
Any questions for Councilman Brennan?
Wouldn't it be easier if we asked like the BPP to put out like, have them make it like little signs for each store instead of trying to curb the plastic
I
bag?
suppose
Take the soft approach first, and then see how that works. And then before we put a whole ordinance in place, maybe in some of the stores that like 7-Eleven uses one.
They do.
Put something out like that. I'm trying to think of who else would use a lot of plastic bags, but I mean, if they put up the little triangle signs on the counter or something like that, it would make everybody aware that we're trying to curb plastic bag use. I mean, like take a softer approach to it first, and then if it doesn't seem like it's working, then put some type of an ordinance in place. I mean, my thing is, if you're gonna put an ordinance in place, let's just ban it, and that's it. And we'll start with it right from there, and let them go with paper or whatever they have to go with.
Well,
I mean, that's all in my opinion.
Well, I'll tell you the truth, that would be my ultimate goal, but I was thinking this was kind of a soft way to do it.
Yeah.
It's much more carrot than stick. If the merchants want to collect, some extra money, they should have a chance to do it. We're not going to force them to do it.
Yeah.
If you have an ordinance that says you have to collect 10 cents a bag, and they don't do it, there's got to be some type of penalty in there. And if Longport, right?
Mm-hmm.
Longport may not enforce it, but I think we'd have a tough time putting something on the books that had a penalty for not adhering to the ordinance and not penalizing someone if they violate the ordinance. Because what if someone complains and says, yeah, Rite Aid is not
Giving bags away and then
giving the bags away, not taking any dimes. I want you to go write the ticket and use the ordinance. I mean, someone can probably, Greg can tell us better than me, so if the town has an ordinance on the books and it has a penalty, and someone's violating that ordinance, and we're not enforcing the penalty on it, someone could probably compel us to enforce the penalty on it.
Depends on the circumstances, if they were being harmed by it. Here, there's a general harm that someone could argue, so technically, yes, it may be a stretch for someone to make that claim. But I think you guys have hit on the major issue. Enforcement is a difficult issue on an ordinance like this. Enforcing it is going to be fairly difficult, I think.
My gut feeling is, without the ordinance, it's not going to happen. You're still gonna have Rite Aid, Family Dollar, liquor stores, 7-Eleven using the plastic bags. If anything, put something in the stores that will, like you said, raise awareness with the customers to maybe bring their own bags. But I can't see us getting the merchants to, I don't know, maybe very tough.
Back in the 1980s, Mayor Hernandez tried to do this, a very similar situation, but with for styrofoam. And that met with a lot of opposition and problems, and the project died. I mean, she's right, people that bought styrofoam cups back in 1980s, that styrofoam is still around.
Still around, absolutely.
It's still around. I mean, she had the right idea, but it's an enforcement situation, like, you know, how do you know, everybody wants their cup of coffee, but they don't want to burn their hands, so the styrofoam keeps it, you know, plastic is easier to put your groceries in and carry it out because of the convenience of plastic, but there should be some type of a way, if we can study it a little bit more, find out what communities are successful with, you know, the plastic bags, you know, see if we can copy what they're doing. But I know we tried it once back in the 80s and it didn't work.
Well, you know, I think the general idea of reducing the number of plastic bags works. You know, I think it'd be worthwhile to look at the businesses in town. I mean, Jen just kind of rattled off the larger ones that use plastic bags, whereas something like Sensations, right, uses paper. So, you know, I think it's worthwhile to look at how many actually do, how many don't, and, you know, to try to use the carrot approach with, you know, the stick ban. You know, if somewhere like Rite Aid doesn't want to work with us, you know, then they can't, you know, then you just do a ban. So I think if they feel as though the borough government is serious about reducing the number of bags, we'd rather do it in a voluntary way, but we reserve the right to always put an ordinance in. But I'm telling you, if you put an ordinance in,
You have to be ready to enforce it.
you have to be ready
I
to
agree.
enforce it.
I agree.
Is there any possible reward system for those businesses that ban plastic and somehow the town can come up with something?
Oh, you mean that wouldn't collect the dime, just wouldn't do plastic at all? I mean, the
Yeah,
idea is
if
that.
they don't do the plastic, instead of punishing on somebody, reward those people that do, those businesses that do cooperate. And we gotta come up with something,
Well, the publicity is really good, we can make sure that everyone knows that they're working, that they're wearing to keep the town, and make sure that they're, you know, their neighbor businesses.
Through the BBP as well, working with the businesses, that this is the direction that the town wants to go in. So why not join and go in that direction? And going, again, ultimately, if the town really wanted to, it could ban.
Just unless it's banned, I wouldn't do it. I mean, you think Dunkin' Donuts or Taco, like they're, and I think paper is more expensive, right? I mean, for them to purchase. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I can't see. To have a stack of paper, just everything as far as space, cost,
And-
convenience.
And Tom, the idea in the other town isn't so much for them to go to paper, but it's for people to bring their own bags, right?
Yes. Bring their own bags.
That's why I think, again, through the DEP, they could push that to their customers.
Yeah. That's a, you know, it's a whole new product line some of these businesses could sell. I mean, I can vision set of one behind a rack with bags on them.
Right.
Buy.
I'm gonna be added to this. BYOB, bring your own bag.
Yeah, we could add to this, right?
Really good.
Because again, plastic bags are not recyclable, right?
No, definitely not.
No, it says right there.
I still remember that shock feeling.
All right, to be continued, I guess. Anything else for a workshop? No? All right. Next on our agenda are petitions. Any petitions from the mayor and council? Next, approval of the minutes.
this will just take a minute. I move that the minutes of the meeting held on January 17th, 2017 will be approved as recorded, and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
Second.
Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Gowdy?
Yes.
Councilman Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next are reports of the council. Council President.
Okay, I just want to mention that this Monday coming up, February 13th, in the community room at 7 p.m., the Belmar Historical Society is going to have a little program. They refer to it as a show and tell. They'll have some people from Belmar come and talk about some items that they have that might be old postcards, might be photographs, might be something that is concerned about the Belmar's history. It's always interesting to come and listen to the people from Belmar talk. It kind of inspires you, other memories that you might have, and it's going to be it should be a real good time. It's in the community room next door. It's Monday, 7 p.m., February 13th. I'm sure you'll enjoy yourself. The other thing is, I understand that there's a possible snowstorm coming, and April, if you could tell Colleen, perhaps we would need the reverse 911 to remind the people that if it is a substantial snowstorm, that they have to get their cars off the street. With that being said, I see Tommy over there. Tommy, how difficult is it to enforce the fact that those people that don't get their cars off when we've asked them, you know?
Really what's huge is the code red or code blue, whatever we put out to make sure that they park on the side of the streets. If we can get that out tomorrow, that definitely helps us with the people moving. It does help with, whether they park at a friend's house or use a neighbor's driveway, but that definitely helps get the message out. Do we go out and ticket people right away? We don't. Matter of fact, we probably help dig more people out than we ever wrote tickets to. So we actually help residents dig their part of that as well, and especially some of the elderly residents we have in town. So.
But you have in the past enforced it with a summons for those people that didn't move their car?
We have.
Yeah.
Yes, we have. Especially if we have the significant snow that we had. How many years ago was that? We got whacked twice. There was some big snows. The ones that were still hanging, yes, we did issue summons to them. With the amount that we got coming, or I would assume most of them are going to be taken care of, or they're going to move into another location. If they're problems, yeah, we'll take them.
And Mike, how much easier is it for your guys to plow the streets if these people do cooperate and get their cars off?
100% easier, and all the incidents of curb bumping or anything else is because the plows are coming in and out of cars. We can just make a straight run, a lot easier for everybody, no bangs on the curbs, no issues, and we're able to get our plows down the street. The last snowstorm we had, we couldn't fit down 13th Avenue in the 200 block, because there was a commercial trailer and a commercial truck parked on both sides of the street. We couldn't fit our plow down, so we had to wait until they moved. And again, the people, it's not fair to the people that want to get up and down 13th, because we can't make that safe.
Right.
We are looking at a large snow accumulation on Thursday. They're calling up to, Barry said what, 10 to 12?
10 or 12.
6 to 10. 6 to 10 inches.
But it's growing about 10.
Yeah. So I mean, either way, it's somewhere between 5 and 10 inches. It's still a significant storm. It's supposed to start around daybreak, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, after tomorrow being 6 o'clock. And then it's going to go until 7 at night. So again, it's going to be an all-day event, and it would be extremely helpful if people would get their cars off. I definitely vote for the code red and get it done.
Okay, April, when you see Colleen, could you see if she can do it first thing in the morning? For those people that say, I only have one parking space in my apartment complex, well, I know there's so many people that only rent or use those parking spaces during the summer. So those people should contact their superintendent for those spaces that are gonna go unused anyway, or call their summer neighbors and ask, can I use your driveway? I don't really think there's any excuse for someone saying that I have 2 cars and I only have a 1-car driveway, I can't get it off the street. Otherwise, they can just bring it up to Dempsey Park or up in the Acme parking lot. But that code red thing will probably be the most successful thing to do. That's my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Walsfer?
The only thing that I have is the BPP is having their summit on February 27th, that's gonna be here, and it's from 9 to 5. So if anybody wants to find out exactly what's going on, they should come and listen, ask questions.
What's that date?
February 27th.
It's a Monday from 9 to 5. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Councilman Brennan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. February 27th is the day before Mardi Gras.
Important thing to know.
Actually, I covered most of what I was gonna give in my report, in the discussion about the plastic bag ordinance. And I also want to thank Councilman McGovern for bringing up the issue of the artificial turf. I think we just need, I would like to see us be, thank you. I would like to see us be a little more environmentally active. Belmar used to be an environmental leader in the state of New Jersey and in the country, and I'd like to see us regain that position. The one thing I want to let people know about is something that I'm involved in. Tomorrow evening at Manasquan High School is the 15th annual Sending District Band Concert. The students from the 6 schools, elementary schools that send to Manasquan High School, that's us, Belmar, Brielle, Manasquan, Seagard, Spring Lake Heights, and Spring Lake VHW Mount School. 6th, 7th, and 8th grader members of those bands are going to put on a concert in conjunction with the high school band's winter concert. This group of students, it's over 125 students, it's just too many kids to count. They only rehearse twice. They're doing very advanced material. It's been a real pleasure to work with these students. I mean, we make them work really, really hard, the young band directors and I. And I'm really looking forward to that performance. It's tomorrow night at 7 at Manasquan High School. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nicolai.
Just want to mention that there's registration now for the softball and baseball program, the Belmar, Lake Como, Avon group. I think it's age 5, starts with little ones, all the way up. It's actually kindergarten through 8th grade. So registration is over here in the gym. I always visit the Belmar Arts Center. If you haven't been to a show, please get to one. They're doing one right now called Themeless. There's no theme, so it's just a bunch of great artwork. And I think that's it. Before the storm, go out and buy local. Get your supplies. Supplies. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Two things I want to talk about. One, I want to congratulate and recognize outstanding work by our Belmar Police Department, also the police departments in surrounding communities, in the arrest of 2 individuals who have been accused of an incredibly heinous act. That while the act itself didn't happen in our jurisdiction, they decided to bring it to our jurisdiction. But since December 2nd of last year, the Belmar Police, along with other police departments, have really done a remarkable job investigating this on behalf of the victim. And when you hear the prosecutor talk about it in the court like they did today, it's pretty chilling terms as far as what happened. Reads as though it could be a movie. So thank you, Captain Pepes, on our.
Yeah, my guys did an excellent job. Detective John Mahoney, Detective Sergeant Mike Campbell, Detective Mike E. and myself developed information that led to the arrest of these 2 perpetrators. And we worked hand in hand with the prosecutor's office and the City Police Department to take these 2 individuals off the street. It's an outstanding investigation.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
My guys did a great job.
Thank you. Next thing I want to talk about are taxes. Ooh. So at our town hall back in January, I sort of went through the tax assessment program, how lousy it was, how lousy it is, and how everyone who thinks that they are overassessed should appeal, and we as a town, as a borough government, will do everything we can in assisting that appeal. So one of the people who's really been on the front lines is Robin Kirk. She's our chief financial officer, but also the tax collector in town. Not the tax assessor, but the tax collector. So one of the things she's been working on is areas that there seems to be significant discrepancy and things that just don't make sense whatsoever. One of them, she actually did a great job highlighting for me, and it's kind of too small to show, but this is the northern part of town. This is Inlet Terrace right here. There's a yellow triangle. See that little yellow triangle? There's about 7 houses on that little yellow triangle. Now, east of that, as you go towards the beach, towards more valuable land, she painted or colored them in pink. The pink areas are valued for the land at $550,000. $550,000. The yellow is valued at $700,000.
Huh?
So you'll see the pink area is right along A Street, 1 block off the ocean. The yellow is 2 blocks off the ocean. But the one at 2 blocks off the ocean is valued about 30% more than the one closer to the ocean. Makes no sense. They did a terrible job. Now, if you look across the street where the green is, so you have the green here, yellow, green, yellow, same distance from the ocean. Other side of the street, the green is 500,000, the yellow is 700,000. It's a 40% difference. So these are the type of things that drive us up here nuts. Because this company that we were compelled to use under court order did a terrible job. Now, to make it more challenging for our residents to appeal, basically everyone in the yellow has to do it together. So we're going to work with all those families. Again, in this case, there happens to be seven households. So we're going to work with all 7 households to put together one, almost like a joint appeal, I guess, because they have the same lot number, whatever it is, number 22, and bring that to the Monmouth County Tax Board and say, look, you guys, this is not even close to being justifiable. So these are some of the things that we're working on to address the outrageous increases that some of the folks are seeing in their tax assessment, which leads to paying more taxes as well.
Can our tax assessor make those kinds of adjustments? Is he a
The tax assessor can look at it on a case-by-case basis. But case by case, the tax assessor will look at one house here, well, next door to that house, you're equal. What we need to do is go before the whole tax board and say this whole block was done incorrectly. I mean, think about it. One side of the street is 40% higher than the other. And we're not talking pennies here, we're talking $200,000 difference if you walk across the street. It's not acceptable.
Do you know if one particular block, everybody's on the same block, everybody's got 50 by 150, is all of that value the same? Is it all 500,000?
Great question. And again, it's a triangle, so they're irregular lots.
I was thinking
What
any
we looked at, what she looks at is basically square footage. So they assign a certain value, and when she comes up with the number of 700 for that, my guess is some may be over it, some may be under it, but that's pretty much what the value is of a lot on number 22, whereas a lot on number 2 is 550, a lot on 32 is 500. So if you look at 22, you'll see that this, or 32, this is more the traditional 50 by 150. 22, the lot sizes are significantly smaller. So they're significantly smaller, right? It's not even the same size, let alone the same location. There are smaller sized lots in the same location being valued at 40% more. And this is not the house, this is not the improvements, this is just the land.
How much discretion does the employee that's doing the assessing have? In other words, could it have been that one employee did that block and another employee did another, and they have different ideas of how much the cost would be? Can we determine-
Possibly, but for the purposes of how they put the assessment map over our town, all that gets put together and gets laid on top of us, it's all gotta be justified. It's all gotta be.
So it doesn't matter which tax assessor, I had a guy come to my house, but across the street was a woman doing it.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, okay.
Doesn't matter. And the other thing that's a bit frustrating is, it seems as though for this one parcel, they looked at properties on Inlet Terrace where the land value is higher. But for a parcel, for the purple parcel, right, just to the west of it, that's valued at $450. Even though that's across from the same types of properties on Inlet Terrace. So if you said, well, they did it because they looked across the street and then compared that, well, they did it here, but they didn't do it here. And they didn't do it down here.
And is there a way to find out on your block, because most are the same size, what your neighbor's land is valued at? I mean, if somebody wants to do an
There is.
appeal, it would be nice to first find out, are you?
There is,
Can you justify it?
the challenge you have, I believe, if you appeal your individual property, they're gonna look at the properties around you. And if you live on that block, they're gonna say, well, it kind of matches the properties around it. That's why in this case, these folks all have to go together and say, no, you can't look at my property against my neighbor's. You gotta look at our block against the neighboring block.
Right.
And again, this isn't a 10,000, 20,000. You're talking, again, one is just to the west, the difference is 250,000. Another one is 200,000, another one's 150,000. I mean, huge differences.
If people begin to win their tax appeals, does that is there a way, I mean, does it generate a sense of the assessment company did not do a good job, and that kind of brings all their assessments into question?
The assessment company did not do a good job.
Yes, but we have to convince the tax board.
The tax board are the ones that compelled us to do this, took us to court, got a court order,
Right.
and then they compelled us to use the tax assessment company.
Sure.
So we can tell them, listen, this tax assessment company is terrible. They're gonna say, thanks for your opinion on that.
And they're the ones getting hit with all the appeals. I mean, I'm sure they weren't expecting this number of appeals.
I agree with you, but I don't think it's gonna
Okay.
change their mind. And our whole point is for folks like this, that, I mean, it's clear as day that this was not done properly. That it is unfair for them to pay that much more, or to have that much a higher assessment than their neighbors. I mean, if the whole town goes up, the whole town goes up. But when you have anomalies like this, and this is why, people come to us, to the borough government, to help them and their families with these tax appeals, and that's what we're, that's important for us to be a part of it and help.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I think there's gold nuggets somewhere around there.
You can go online and look at what the other properties are. We actually have a list in the office you can come in and look at too. But if you go on our website, there's a link to the county's website, or you go to the county tax board website, and you can just search any property in all of Monmouth County. You just type in the address, and it'll tell you everything you need to know.
Thank you.
Just curious.
And by the way, now we found this out, we're gonna continue to look in other sections of town to see if there are these type of anomalies where, again, if you go to appeal, you know, if you live on this triangle, you go to appeal, you're not gonna win because they're gonna look at your neighbor.
Right.
Whereas again, they should be looking at the whole block versus the block across the street. Again, this is not, nothing to do with how beautiful the house is, this is just the land. So anyway, if you want, I'll pass it around so you guys can take a look as well, have an idea. That's all for my report. Only addition, I guess, or after my report, is during our reorganization, as the mayor, I appointed members of the planning board. Tonight, I'm going to appoint someone as a Class 1, which is a mayor's designee. Under Borough Ordinance 1995-07, I appoint Jared Cohen with a term to be served at the pleasure of the mayor anytime during the mayor's tenure, and my tenure, much like Council President McGovern's, is 1 year. So this will be appointment through December 31st of 2017. Next is public session on the resolution calendar. Anyone have any comments, questions on the public session? Please raise your hand, wait to be called on. Raise your hand, wait to be called on. Raise one hand. You sit, I'm sorry, you sit in your chair. Raise your hand, wait to be called on. Anyone have any comments, questions for us? Yes, sir.
Is this the public portion of the meeting where you're allowed to speak?
No.
This is the public session for the resolution calendar.
Thank you.
Comments or questions on the resolution calendar, just raise your hand. Is there any reason why you're walking around?
I raised my hand.
Were you called on?
I'm not gonna be called up. You looked in my direction, I raised my hand.
I called on another gentleman, not you.
Okay. If you wanna let him go first, that's fine.
Is that okay with you?
Oh, absolutely.
Any comments, questions on the resolution calendar? Yes, sir. Hey, would you fix the microphone, please?
There's two questions about the painting of the old list.
State your name and
Oh,
address.
sorry, David Schaff, 302 C Street. There was a $634 payment to HK Promotional Sales for convention bags. You know what that is?
It's through tourism, correct? That was through tourism.
Were they plastic bags?
Yes, they were.
Oh. All right, so we should stop doing that. There was a reimbursement, $900 to a member of the CID. Was that found out that he was no longer, Belmar Properties or something? I'll find it. You might know, it's $900 something. It was a reimbursement for a CID payment. You need the specifics?
In general, it's easier if you come up with a question prepared.
Belmar Properties, 92787. It says refund, overcharge, CID billing. Can you tell me what that's about?
They were overcharged for their SID bill.
Can you tell me how, in what manner they were overcharged?
We charged them too much for their SID bill, so we refunded them a certain amount.
So, is this a property under redevelopment?
I don't know if it is or it's not, but
Is that, I'm just asking what the reason for so this is the first time I've ever seen anything like this where.
no, we refund people on occasion.
Well, it was a thing with
resolution.
self-storage, but.
There's a resolution now to refund someone for a water sewer payment. No, it happens on occasion, but taxes we refund. It happens.
So is this a property that fell under redevelopment and that's why they're no longer paying us in? I'm just wondering if that was the reason.
I don't know off the top of my head. I'll be back.
I'm sure you will. Thank you.
Great question. Any other comments, questions for the council on the resolution calendar? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public session for the resolution council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I will step off for the first two resolutions. Councilman Leon.
Okay, can I have a motion for the resolution authorizing payment of bills?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes. Next, may I have a motion for the resolution awarding a lease agreement for the paddleboard classes? Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next two resolutions sort of go hand in hand, but they're individual. First resolution is authorizing a temporary capital budget for 2017. We don't finalize the budget until we get numbers from the state, which doesn't really come until the end of June because they're on a fiscal and we're on an annual budget. But what this does is it allocates $50,000 change in the capital budget for the down payment on the bonds that are on for first reading introduction for tonight. The second one, the resolution amending the 2017 temporary budget, is part of the same thing. If you remember, we already passed the temporary budget because we have bills to pay. Again, we don't have a finalized budget. We'll introduce it, but again, nothing takes effect until later on in the year. Does the council have any questions on the resolution? You good?
Good.
All right, well, I will offer a resolution authorizing a 2017 temporary capital budget.
Second?
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Walsifer?
No.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next, resolution amending 2017 temporary budget.
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Walsifer?
No.
Councilman McGovern?
And yes.
Next is the consent agenda. I will offer the consent agenda.
Second?
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next are ordinances. Ordinance 2017, sorry, that was back 3 years. 2017-04. First reading introduction. Ordinance of the Borough of Belmar amending revised general ordinances, chapter 31, environment and natural resources to add section 31-5, release of balloons.
I will second that.
Can't release balloons anymore in Belmar.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
I'm just concerned about the enforcement. How do we enforce it? Obviously, they fly away and we can just balloon control.
Rest those children.
We actually,
There's a voluntary penalty in the ordinance.
There is.
So if you're caught releasing balloons, there is a penalty that's provided for it.
But so someone would
It's gonna be called.
have to see you doing it.
What if it's
Yeah.
a little kid?
And then,
but with all of our, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm good.
But with all of our ordinances like this, there's obviously police discretion. So if it's a party of people who are releasing balloons to celebrate something, the police will put a stop to it or fine them. If it's a 6-year-old who's running down the street and let go of the balloon, they're probably in tears. I don't imagine a police officer, Mark, you can speak this better. Maybe Captain Cox. Outside of Captain Cox, the rest of the police department will not be issuing a summons for that
Does that
6-year-old.
include the luminaries, the, include the?
Great question. So we have had people who, and it looks incredible, who light up these luminaries, and they float up, and then they float away. In discussions with this, I spoke with our business administrator, and she researched it, that there's already state statutes that prohibit that. And as nice as it looks, it is pretty dangerous to think that you're putting something that's on fire. No, it's not a huge fire. You're putting something on fire that is going up in the air and is gonna land somewhere. And if the wind's not good, we could burn down half an Avalon, which be unfortunate for us. So, as opposed to burning down our neighbors, yeah, that's not permitted either, but that's not permitted anywhere in the
This
state.
ordinance applies only to balloons filled with lighter than air gas. So, people
There's
can hide- I mean, I don't know,
Festival not
sit on
far
hydrogen, but
here, it's doing big, like hundreds and hundreds.
hot air balloons that are recovered after launching are exempt. There's 3 exemptions to the ordinance. I'll read it to you so you guys can verification. A balloon released by a person on behalf of a governmental agency or pursuant to a governmental contract for scientific or meteorological purposes, because you very well may have people here serving the ocean or what have you, in your beachfront town. 2 hot air balloons that are recovered after launching, and 3 balloons obviously released indoors, because it prevents the release of any lighter than air gases in the borough. So indoors is okay.
Ban it indoors, 'cause my kids get caught in the fan.
I'll leave that to your household.
We'll definitely enforce that. Next
Well,
ordinance.
I vote yes.
Oh, you did.
No, I didn't, and I was holding off. Our parade's coming up. I mean, there's tons of vendors out there with balloons and everything like that. I mean,
Can't let them go. It's not like you can't have them, you just can't let
It's
them fly.
intentional. So I'll read it to you. It shall be unlawful for any person, firm, or corporation to intentionally release, organize the release, or intentionally cause to be released balloons inflated with a gas that is lighter than air within the borough of Belmar, except for the 3 exemptions that I mentioned.
so a person could just say, oh, it was an accident, and they would not be in violation.
I think the intent of it is that, I mean, you have permits for bonfires, you have permits for all kinds of events at the beach. You don't want someone releasing several hundred balloons into the ocean. In terms of,
No, I agree, but I mean, it's, if they say, it wasn't intentional, I didn't mean to do it, it just got away from me in the wind. I mean, that's still
I
violation.
guess
Yeah,
they argue with the opposite, they have.
Right, that would be police discretion, but let's say someone gets married, and they, to celebrate their wedding, they want to release 30 balloons up into the air.
Can't do it.
That they can't do, and if they do, they're gonna get fined rightfully so.
I mean, I'm for it, except I don't know how you're gonna enforce it, but the answer is yes.
Next, ordinance 2017-05, first reading introduction, ordinance of the Borough of Belmar, amended revised general ordinances, chapter 29, water sewer utility, add section 29-9.4, grease discharge abatement. This is, I'll offer for first reading.
Second?
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Nardi?
Yes.
Councilman Walsberg?
Yes.
Councilman Rowland?
Yes.
Next, ordinance 2017-06, first reading introduction, ordinance amending supplementing chapter 4, Department of Finance, chapter 17, alcoholic beverage control, and chapter 16, police regulations and general, revised general ordinance of the Borough of Belmar County, Monmouth, New Jersey. This is for first reading, offer for first reading.
Second?
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Nardi?
Yes.
Councilman Walsberg?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next ordinance 2017-07, very busy night tonight. First reading and introduction, bond ordinance providing for various park and recreation improvements in and by the Borough of Belmar and the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, appropriating $1 million thereof, and authorizing the issuance of $950,000 in bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. This is first reading introduction for this bond ordinance. So I'll offer first reading.
I'll second it.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Nardi?
Yes.
Councilman Walsberg?
This is for, to upgrade 2 of our playgrounds in town and to redo a fence, and I really do think that this should be taken care of on working on the budget and doing it in steps and not going out for bonds. So my vote is no.
Councilman McGovern?
It's more than just the 2 playgrounds and the fence. It also encompasses other recreation expenses, correct?
I mean, those are the major ones.
They're the major ones.
But the parks, the playgrounds are 8th Avenue.
And this would also include, let's say, improving Silver Lake Park, you know, which desperately needs improvement, like, you know, around the lake with the grass and everything, you know, that's gonna be a monumental project to get rid of that phragmites.
Well, this is focused really on the recreation aspect around 8th Avenue. So
Okay.
really focused on the playground. But, you know, we have, you know, our playgrounds on the beachfront are new, and they're great. The other 2 new playgrounds we have were both donated. And they're, you know, to get good playground equipment, it's very expensive.
Right.
And these are the 2 playgrounds that are in our neighborhoods. And if you've been to, well, you've been to the one by your house. If you've ever been to one on 15th Avenue, I mean, how many times does DPW have to go over there and scratch off graffiti that would make, you know, grown men blush? It's pretty offensive. So what we're looking at, and I'll be honest with you, $1 million is
So
it
we don't
sounds like a
have
lot.
to spend $1 million.
No, but I'm telling you
If we can get away with $100,000, we can do it that way.
That's true, but the reality is, you know, we're cutting corners as much as possible to keep it out of Milton. And again, the fence around Memorial Field, I mean, that's been shot for I don't know how many years now.
Probably about 20, 25.
It comes down to a lot of, in my eyes, safety issues.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I vote yes.
Safety.
So that's ordinance 2017-07. Next, ordinance 2017-01, second reading public hearing, ordinance of the revised Borough of Belmar deleting Article 2 cats of the revised general ordinances. This is open for public hearing. Any comments, questions on us deleting cats?
Delete the door.
We're getting rid of cats throughout all of town.
No, we're
This
not.
just gets rid of the need to license your cats. I'm not
Yes.
sure why you ever had to license your cat, but aside from being a tiger or a lion or a liger, I don't really see a need to license a cat. Seeing no public comment, questions on licensing cats, make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Next, I'll move for adoption of ordinance 2017-01.
Can I second this one?
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
My cat likes having a license, but yes.
James Tucker? Mayor Doherty?
For Tucker, I vote yes.
Councilman Walsinger?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next, ordinance 2017-02, this is for second reading, public hearing as well. Ordinance of the Borough of Belmar amending fees in various chapters of revised general ordinances. This is open for public hearing. Any public comments, questions on this ordinance? Basically, this cleans up our dumpster pod ordinance, and at the end of the ordinances, you'll see a additional resolution that sets the fees for having a dumpster or a pod in the public right of way. And those fees can be changed, altered by future councils by resolution as opposed to by ordinance.
It's also for some other fees too.
And other fees as well. Seeing no public comment on this, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, I'll offer and move for adoption. Ordinance 2017-02.
A second?
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Walsinger?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Next, I turn the column over to Brian.
Okay, this is a second reading and public hearing for ordinance 2017-3. Ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 19, traffic, of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Belmar, section 19-46, handicap parking spaces. This is open for public discussion. Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And now I move for the passage of ordinance 2017-3.
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all for the ordinance calendar, so next is the additional resolution. It's the resolution of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar establishing various fees. This goes back to the second reading public hearing on ordinance 2017-2. So I'll offer the resolution.
Second?
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes.
Councilman Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
That concludes our ordinances and resolutions. Next is public session. Public session is very simple. Please raise your hand, wait to be called on, stand up, walk to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes to tell us what important items you have on your mind today. Stop. All right. Yes, ma'am. Sandy.
Thank you, Mayor. Sandy Caputo, 1705 Surf Ave. Mayor, that map you had with those kids, can you get that online?
No.
I mean, can you scan it and put it, give us, so that we could all see it, so that we could refer to that maybe when looking, like the problems that are there?
Well, it'll be public record, but for where you live, it doesn't.
Not just for me, for everyone that has some questions to see what's wrong there when they look at.
Sure, yeah, sure. I just don't want to.
Or can I get a copy of it tomorrow if I just step by?
Well, this is the only copy we have.
And that's in color, but if you copy it, it's gonna be black and white.
Yeah, but I wonder if we can scan it in color. Can we scan it in color and email it to you maybe? Can we scan in color?
Well, not just for me, but for everyone with questions, to see what's wrong there when they look at their own properties. I thought that might be helpful.
Well, just remember that, I just brought this up as an example
Right.
of what we're doing to help. And in this case, it's gotta have to be a whole bunch of families together. But I don't want people to think that this is necessarily gonna apply to every other section of town. I don't believe it does, but it may, particularly, when you have Surf and Snyder and A and B and in your area, there may be some quirky things, but this one just really stood out. That's why I wanted to highlight it tonight. So we can give you a copy of it, but I don't want to give people false hope that this will address other situations as well. Does that make sense? But I'll wait. Again, we can scan in color?
Yes,
We'll scan in color. Do we have your email address?
I do.
Okay, and April 17th tomorrow, is that okay?
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Tom Volker, 527 8th Avenue. I'm glad you're looking at the rest of the town, because I would think that the odds would say that situation that exists on Inlet Terrace must exist in the rest of the town as well. So I'm glad you're doing that. I want to ask about the website that the New Jersey has, that the Belmar site refers to. Are the updated assessments in there?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
And if you need help, accessing the site or navigating through it, please don't hesitate to call Borough Hall and ask for someone to assist you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mike Seaback, 110 Second Avenue. Mayor and Council, good evening. I just had a quick question, Mayor Doherty, on the bonding for the playgrounds. Is that based on an engineering estimate or anything utilized to arrive at that figure? Because a couple $100,000 for playgrounds does sound like a lot of money.
It is a lot. No, it's based on research that our business administrator did with Game Time, Matarana. So they're the ones who built the playgrounds up on the beachfront, the 4 playgrounds we have there. They also built the playground at McCleary Park. They did not build the playground at the school. And, yeah, I mean, it's remarkable how expensive it is. But what we're trying to do is, and I'll give you an example, so the playground on 15th Avenue, again, the graffiti there is tough to keep up with. And what is written and what is drawn is so offensive that children can't use it. And the problem is, when they put this in, however many decades ago, at the time, I guess it was state of the art, where it was a tunnel, so you crawl through the tunnel, and that was fun. The problem is kids go in the tunnel and draw things and do other things. So the new stuff has that same feel to it, but instead of being solid parts, it's all circular loops where you couldn't graffiti it. But it's more expensive, to be very honest.
I just
And
hope,
I mean, I would say,
I hope we call far and wide to get people to compete in this business, because like I said, a couple $100,000 for playgrounds maybe sounds like.
I agree with you, it's off the charts. And I would tell you, part of what really adds to the expense is the surface. So if you go to the playground at McCleary Park, or you go to the one at the school, you walk on the surface, it's the safest surface out there, it's basically rubber. But it's not hard rubber, and it works well in bad environments, and when it's hot, when it's cold, and it lasts. But, you know, the surface for a playground itself could cost north of $200,000. It's off the charts, but that's sort of what's required. And then building playgrounds going forward, you know, there's got to be some type of ADA component as well to it, which also adds to the cost. So I just figure that, you know, we haven't done new playgrounds. I mean, we did new playgrounds in Sandy, and those playgrounds were actually donated.
The playgrounds from Sandy, the one at McCleary Park, terrific. We do have good playgrounds in town, so.
Well, we do, but we don't have them in the neighborhoods.
I get it, but we have headed in the right direction. That's all I'm saying on that. The second issue I just want to bring up, if I can address Councilman Brennan.
Through the chair.
Okay. However, it's dedicated to Councilman Brennan. I hope you're successful with your campaign, because I think the whale at the beach and was euthanized, they discovered the bags and was actually in Europe someplace, either Iceland or one of the Scandinavian countries. Excuse me. And the interesting thing about it is I've had the pleasure of occasionally traveling there, and they're actually much more compliant. They really are actually, as a society, pretty diligent about bringing bags and not using disposable bags and stuff like that. So I think if you manage to start guilting people out and getting them to change their behavior, it would definitely be a step in the right direction, because clearly we can do better than we're doing now. So good luck with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Michael Green, Ocean Avenue. Just a couple of questions. The parks you mentioned, the ones on the beach, are they maintained by the beach commission?
They're maintained by the Department of Public Works.
Okay.
Isn't
so
here, it's
the
not
funds-
on. That mic is not.
Just keep going, Mike.
The funds then don't come out of the water, what it's called, the beach fees, then to maintain them?
They probably do, yeah. I mean, the Department of Public Works, the allocation for the expense of the Department of Public Works is split up depending on what they're working on.
What about McCleary Park?
McCleary Park would just come out of the general funds used to pay the.
Could that come out of the beach funds too?
No.
Because it's attached to the beach?
No,
No?
no.
And what about adding a fence full width in front of the park there, so that the animals, dogs specifically, don't get in there, do their business when many people don't pick up after them?
At McCleary Park?
Yeah.
Yes, no, that's in our plans to put a full fence there, absolutely.
And one other question through the chair to Councilwoman, where are my cookies?
Thank you.
February 20th.
Now you're getting dressed up tonight too.
They match. I shaved.
Any public comments, questions? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Board. Mark Hersham, on Wall Township. In regards to your October 4th meeting, in which your tax assessor came up and said that the state mandates the cost approach, I got 5 letters from the New Jersey Supreme Court going from 1950 to 1954 that says there is no such rule. I also have from the Monmouth County Tax Board a letter saying there are 3 approaches to the value, and the cost approach is not mandated. And the other thing is, when he said the labor costs and construction costs are the same throughout the state, each county has a booklet. And we said a house in Rumson versus the house in Belmar. And Mr. Brennan said it's nice to think his bathroom's worth the same as one in Rumson. Well, they would have to be built at the same time. It would have to be the same type of house. The only thing that would change if you built 2 identical houses in 2 different towns would be the value of the land. And the chance of building 2 identical houses in separate towns is far-fetched. And I do have copies of that if you want to see it. One other thing, I've asked like 5 times under the Open Public Records Act for the contract that says the cost approach must be used in Belmar. One time I handed it in, it was dated, April looked at it, said it was fine. 45 minutes later, I get an email saying that as previously advised, Oprah is seeking actual records. Now, 45 minutes before that, it was good. 45 minutes later, it was bad. I came back down. I spoke to her and Robin Kirk. They told me there is no piece of paper in Borough Hall that says cost approach. So I asked again after that conversation. All I got was a copy of the contract, which does not state it. The only thing that changes from the front to the back is the front says 3 approaches. The back says that it must be approved by the tax assessor. In technicality, it should be the mayor and council with the help of the tax assessor, but you guys vote for the money. So the wrong approach was used, and that's why everything is so screwed up. There's a house on Allenwood Road that's really nice. It sold a 1.5 years ago. Granite countertops, ceramic tile floors. You know how much it's worth? $24,800. But if you live 3 houses away, your house is worth $350,000. There's, just like you said in Belmar, they're all over the place. And when I first started coming here, I know you couldn't do anything about the company because you were forced to take them. I just want to let you know how bad they were. And that was my reason for coming forward. Even though I wasn't allowed to speak at the last town hall meeting, for whatever reason, which, as you know, is a violation of my First Amendment rights of free speech. And I got one other thing to ask you, Mr. Mayor. After that meeting, you had a conversation. You said if I was to disrupt or interrupt your meetings, that things would not work out in my favor. What did you mean by that?
I meant that if you interrupt or disrupt the public meeting, you'll be removed.
Okay, and I asked you, did I ever disrupt or interrupt? You said, no, but I'm warning you ahead of time. And I'm like, if I've never done it, why warn me? I kind of take that as a threat.
It's not a threat. It's what would happen.
And what would happen if I disrupt, which I've never done in my life. But if, you know, I know people have, what would you do? Just have me escorted out?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I spoke to a couple of government agencies, and basically, they said, you know, Mr. Wasp will know, so will Cox, Mr. Campbell. The person saying it cannot interpret it. The person receiving it is as he perceives it. So if I start getting tickets in Belmar, or things start going funny, and I haven't had a ticket in Belmar in 40 years. then there are a couple of government agencies that are gonna start looking at this town.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comments, questions tonight? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public portion, but we're not going to adjourn the meeting. We're going to go into executive session to discuss pending litigation. So when we come back out, we will adjourn the meeting, won't be any public hearings. We want to do that at the end so people weren't sitting here waiting for us to come back out. So we're going to go into executive session with our attorneys and then come back out and adjourn. So everyone have a very good night.
I need a second to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So you need a motion to go into executive session as well, right?
Yes, I have to. It's a resolution authorizing closed meeting, whereas section 8 of the Indiana Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas there is adequate notice to the public of this meeting, and whereas Borough Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council as follows: the public shall be excluded from discussion and action upon hereinafter specified subject matter. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is litigation with Two Dogs, Dockside Dining, and Loco. Minutes will be kept of the closed session. It is anticipated at this time that the above subject matter will be made public where the need for confidentiality no longer exists, and this resolution shall take effect immediately. Do you have a motion to approve?
I'll offer.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.